Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Toles, and welcome to Coffee with Joe. This is a new monthly series sponsored by You Gotta Believe. You Gotta Believe is a New York-based organization that believes family is a solution for every child in foster care. I know a little bit about the subject in that I grew up in the New York State foster care system and have adopted 7, soon to be 8, young men from the foster care system. I'm a prime example that one loving adult can change the course of life of a child forever. The reality is, though, through no fault of their own, more than 400,000 children and youth are currently living in this nation's foster care system. Each year, about 20,000 young people will age out of the system without a family. 50% of those who age out will experience homelessness and incarceration, and all are more likely to experience unemployment, unplanned pregnancy, legal system involvement, substance abuse, and a lack of basic healthcare services. As a member of You Gotta Believe's Board of Believers, I am proud to be connected to an organization that works tirelessly to connect foster youth to loving families. It doesn't have to be this way. I'm an example of what can be, as are each one of my sons. So today, to start out this conversation, I'd love to introduce you to Jennifer Pinder, the Executive Director of You Gotta Believe.
Hi, Joe.
Morning. Hey, how are you?
Great. It's good to see you.
You too. Can you tell us a little bit more about You Gotta Believe and its mission?
Absolutely. You Gotta Believe is a very special and unique organization. We've been around for 26 years now, and we are working primarily on finding permanent homes for older kids in foster care. We are not like the traditional foster care agencies where we're not doing any temporary placements. These are lifetime commitments. And we are focused intently on making sure that no kid ages out of foster care without a permanent, loving, and committed family. So it's a very complicated issue. So it requires very highly specialized services, which we provide. And we're the only organization in New York that provides these specialized services and focuses specifically on finding permanent homes for older kids in foster care. So we work with youth before they're placed. We also train parents to prepare them to become parents to older kids in foster care. And what we call our secret sauce is that we provide support indefinitely to the family, so for as long as they need it.
Well, I understand that completely. One of the things that's so unique about You Gotta Believe, and I worked in the foster care system as well as growing up in the foster care system, is that it seems that most of your staff, or a good majority of your staff in your board, have been alum of the foster care system, been adopted, or are adoptees, adopters. So how do you think that works towards the mission for You Gotta Believe?
Yeah, that's right. I think it's so imperative that we have so many credible messengers, not just on our staff, but also on our board, as you mentioned, either alum of the system, survivors of the system, and or have adopted from foster care. So we truly understand the issue, not just on a professional level, but on a personal level. So it puts us in a position to really provide services that are highly specialized. And it comes from a place of truly understanding what the youth and what the parents are going through. And the idea of family is especially important to me because I was placed for adoption at birth. So I just have an appreciation for a family that, goes above and beyond, I think, many people, because, I understand how important it is and having this lifelong support. There I am with my family. And we very much celebrate my being adopted and having a family that was formed by adoption.
That's absolutely wonderful. In my family, as you know, there are a bunch of us. I'm the only one in the family that wasn't adopted. So one of the things that I do when I get into thinking about it, I'm in the process again of getting another child, is that foster care is not part of my plan. It is to provide a permanent home, and I choose adoption that way. that's a big, strong part of the purpose of You Gotta Believe. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so we make it very clear that this is a lifelong commitment, but at the same time, you can get involved with the process without having made that decision. So as I mentioned, we train our parents. You can go through the entire training and still not be sure about the decision. You can get that education, and then our staff will follow you along every step of the way, and because it is a very important decision, because it is a lifelong commitment. So you can start with the classes, gain a better understanding of what exactly it entails. And then when it comes time for the lifetime commitment, you'll be prepared to do that because you'll have all the education that you need at that point.
How long are the classes?
So you're required to take 10 3-hour classes. So it's a total of 30 hours. I've taken the classes myself, and our classes are customized to really address any trauma that the youth may have experienced through their life. So it helps the parent to become prepared to deal with that. And then just basic parenting skills that you'll need with any child. So it really prepares all of the parents. And there's also continued education that is required in addition to once you complete the initial parenting classes.
And I must just highlight the availability of the You Gotta Believe staff. I myself participate in the parent support groups, which are weekly. And I also love game night, which brings parents and children together. We've had people from across the world now that are involved in those.
Right.
As they travel and move their families along. What one piece of advice would you give somebody who is thinking about adopting? What's the most important thing?
I think the most important thing is that, and I referenced this a little bit previously, but that you don't have to make the decision immediately. You can gain all of the information that you need before making the decision. And another fallacy is that adopting is always expensive. When you adopt from foster care, it's free. So that's the financial implications for adopting for foster care. It's not something it's not a barrier. So it's really, you can take your time to make the decision. Again, we have the support of our staff who will answer any and all questions that you have, because again, it is a very, very important decision that we take very seriously.
Well, I'm a believer, and I'm so thrilled that you could be here to answer those questions for everybody. I really want to thank you for being part of this. But before you go, we have to give you a question of the day.
Okay, I'm ready.
I often get this question. Is it possible for a single person to adopt?
Absolutely. We've supported many single people through the adoption process. You're a prime example of someone who has successfully navigated the adoption process multiple times over as a single person. So that, again, should not be a barrier, because you'll be supported by the deep parent network you just mentioned, in addition to the staff that we've talked about all throughout this discussion. So you should not let your status of being single prevent you from considering adopting from foster care. So that's a great question.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, I thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
And for our viewers, be sure to tune in once a month, the first Wednesday of every month, where we'll talk about issues of adoption and foster care, answer your questions, and hopefully shed light on the issues of foster care and adoption in this nation. But You Gotta Believe is where I will be. This is Coffee with Joe. Thank you so much for tuning in.